Next on the Rockbridge Report, Virginia Military Institute is moving a landmark of the school. We'll tell you about the monumental decision. And Halloween is this Saturday. Reporter Mary Alice Russell will show you how businesses are adapting the holiday to COVID-19. And then, Shauna will tell you what weather to expect on the night of fright. And later, a historic race has been postponed until next year. See why. All that and more on this edition of the Rockbridge Report.
Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University with news from Rockbridge County, this is the Rockbridge Report.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Donald LeCompte and I'll be joined later by my co-anchor Lily Mott, weather with Shauna Muckle and Brennan Black with sports. The Virginia Military Institute Board of Visitors voted unanimously this afternoon to move the Stonewall Jackson statue while no new location was announced. Black alumni began campaigning this year to remove the statue. This comes after Virginia Military Institute Superintendent General J.H. Binford P. III resigned on Monday. Last week, Governor Ralph Northam called an investigation into the campus climate after racist incidents were reported by the Washington Post. The superintendent and other VMI officials denied that systematic racism exists on campus. Check out Grace Mammon's full report on rockbridgereport.wlu.edu. The hurricane that just devastated the already damaged Louisiana coast has made its way to southwestern Virginia as a tropical storm, or at least that's what we were prepared for. Tropical storm warnings were issued as far away as southern Virginia, which was highly unusual for the region. A Roanoke TV meteorologist reported it was first to be the tropical storm. It would have been the first to hit this region since Hugo in the 1980s. Though the tropical storm ended up underwhelming the area, Shauna Muckle says we still got a great deal of rain.
Heavy rains this morning clogged local creeks and flooded rivers. The rain has since stopped, but will return later tonight. Most local residents and school districts are not concerned about the rains, but Dominion Energy said it will be standing by until 6 p.m., just in case power lines and trees get knocked down by high-speed winds. The forecasts have predicted 40 to 50 mile-per-hour winds. Mayor Frank Friedman said, quote, "If power lines or trees fall and block roads, the city of Lexington is not equipped to deal with the aftermath."
Less than a week to go before Election Day 2020, and that means President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden are hitting the campaign trail hard, working to draw in those final votes. Melissa Rainey has the latest.
Long lines and cold temperatures aren't holding voters back, as scenes like this are common around the country right now. More than 75 million Americans have reportedly already voted. That's more than half of the entire turnout in the 2016 election. This 101-year-old woman proud to be part of that number.
It just made me feel so good. And now I know I am somebody.
Meanwhile, the presidential candidates are amping up the push for votes. President Donald Trump stopping in Arizona Wednesday to announce a new plan aimed at helping the Hispanic community.
The American Dream Plan will bring more than 2 million new jobs to Hispanic communities.
Former Vice President Joe Biden campaigning in his home state of Delaware Wednesday, criticizing the Trump administration's response to the COVID-19 pandemic and promising things would differ in a Biden White House.
We'll let science drive our decisions. We will deal honestly with the American people. And we'll never, ever, ever quit.
Looking ahead to the weekend, former President Barack Obama will join Biden on the campaign trail in the key battleground state of Michigan on Saturday. It's their first joint campaign appearance this year. Trump also focusing on battleground states as Election Day closes in. He will be in Tampa, Florida and Fayetteville, North Carolina on Thursday. I'm Melissa Rainey reporting.
The members of the Washington and Lee chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha say they are happy to see a black woman on the presidential ticket. Kamala Harris is a member of AKA, which she joined at Howard University. The sorority cannot make official donations or endorsements, but the W&L members are finding other ways to get politically involved. Read reporter Grace Mammon's story on our website at rockbridgereport.wlu.edu. Halloween is this Saturday, and Lexington and Buena Vista have figured out some safe ways to celebrate the holiday. Mary Alice Russell has the story.
The global pandemic is not stopping the Rockbridge area from having a happy Halloween. Main Street Lexington is still hosting the downtown Lexington trick-or-treat event. Main Street Lexington's executive director, Rebecca Logan, explained that there will be some changes.
We're not encouraging a big crowd all at once. We'll hope that folks will just come as they can. And we've asked them to, follow the guidelines.
Not all businesses are participating, but many are getting creative. Cindy Hughes, the owner of Sugar Maple Trading Company, will give out candy in a fun way.
Kind of creating a fun little thing, like a little chute or something to put the candy down that kids will have fun. So we're trying to make it fun because we know that it's been a long haul for some of these kiddos.
Another business trying a new approach, Just Games Lexington.
Kids who come in costume will take, and they want to be part of our costume contest, they'll be able to have their picture taken outside the shop, and we'll be posting that on social media.
Safety is the top priority for businesses and families this Halloween weekend. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommend that you wear a mask, but not just the usual Halloween mask, a mask like the one I'm wearing.
Lexington's Jackson Avenue will be closed on Saturday evening from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock for trick-or-treating. Hull's Drive-In is hosting the 8th annual Hull-O-Ween Bash on Friday and Saturday night. The drive-in movie theater will be playing Hocus Pocus and The Nightmare Before Christmas. In Buena Vista, the spooktacular celebration has been canceled, but trick-or-treaters will be able to participate in a candy drive-thru at Glen Morey Park.
Go to the Rockbridge Report website to learn more information about the events that are happening this Halloween weekend. With the Rockbridge Report, I'm Mary Alice Russell.
Next on the Rockbridge Report, COVID cases are once again on the rise. We'll show you some of the hot spots across the country.
We're finally seeing a break in the clouds after heavy rain all this morning and afternoon. And while we've seen the last of the rain for a while, November will bring some much colder temperatures. Tune into the Rockbridge Report for this week's forecast.
And later.
To come back out here and see everybody having fun is just awesome. It makes 2020 feel somewhat normal.
Horse racing has returned to Kentucky. We'll show you the response. Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Lily Mott. 32 states are now considered red zones for coronavirus cases. That's according to new reports from the White House Coronavirus Task Force. CNN's Brian Todd reports.
In front of the Milwaukee City Courthouse, hundreds of empty chairs placed in solemn rows. A memorial set up by local leaders to represent coronavirus victims who won't be there for their families' holiday celebrations this year.
Look at those chairs. That's how serious it is. People, stop taking this virus lightly.
With his state surpassing 200,000 cases and hospitals in crisis, Wisconsin's governor couldn't have been more dire in warning residents to take precautions.
There's no way to sugarcoat it. We are facing an urgent crisis, and there is an imminent risk to you, your family members, your friends, your neighbors.
And one expert says some areas of the country may soon have to ration hospital care for COVID patients and be forced to make excruciating decisions.
When you have a massive surge of critically ill patients, it will very quickly overwhelm the system and require us to make those really difficult decisions about who gets an intensive care unit bed, who gets a ventilator, and who, unfortunately, will have to die.
In New Jersey, the governor says he's trying to avoid a wider shutdown of businesses and schools. But he says many of his state's outbreaks can be traced to private gatherings in homes, where the rules are tougher to enforce.
It's serious, there's no question about it. And it's really migrated from hot spots in particular communities or in higher education. Now it's pretty much up and down the state.
The U.S. is now averaging over 70,000 new cases per day, even worse than the surges in the spring and summer. 40 states are trending worse in the reporting of new cases. Only one is trending better.
Dr. Anthony Fauci said one of the reasons for the current surge in cases is that too many states went off on their own instead of following the safety guidelines set up by the Coronavirus Task Force. He says that is also one of the reasons why it's taking so much longer to get back to normal. Rockbridge County health officials are urging people to get their flu shots to avoid a twin-demic. Hospitals will be overwhelmed if they have to treat both COVID and the flu. Doctors say flu shots are available at Walmart, CVS, Kroger, and the Lexington Prescription Center. Customers must wear a mask and verify they do not have COVID. The Rockbridge Area Health Center will also be offering a free drive-through flu shot service November 14th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at 25 Northridge Lane. Flu shots are first come, first serve. Read reporter Jin Nee's story on our website at rockbridgereport.wlu.edu. And the White House is taking credit for, quote, ending the coronavirus pandemic, listing it as an accomplishment even though the pandemic is nowhere near over. And as CNN's Caitlin Collins reports, President Trump is touting his so-called success on the campaign trail.
President Trump out west today with 2 rallies in the pivotal battleground state of Arizona.
We're heading to Arizona. We have a couple of very big ones.
But no matter which state he's in, the pandemic is defining the closing days of the president's campaign, and 10 months in, there are still mixed messages coming out of the White House. The president has been telling his crowds this is why COVID-19 cases are rising in the U.S.
And you know why we have so many cases? Because we test more.
But his administration's testing coordinator disputed that today.
We do believe, and the data show, that the cases are going up. It's not just a function of testing. Yes, we're getting more cases identified, but the cases are actually going up.
Admiral Brett Giroir also contradicted this stunning claim from Chief of Staff Mark Meadows.
We're not going to control the pandemic.
We can control the virus. We know how to do that. Smart policies, very critical to wear a mask when you can't physically distance.
Over 500,000 Americans contracted coronavirus in the last week, but a new White House document claims ending the COVID-19 pandemic is one of Trump's accomplishments. His communications director acknowledged today the press release was poorly worded.
I think that was poorly worded. The intent was to say that it is our goal to end the virus. But what I would say is this: because of the president's leadership, we are rounding the corner on the virus.
Developer Ed Walker launched big plans to revitalize downtown Buena Vista 3 years ago. He's auctioning off 11 properties next month. The auction from November 1st through the 17th reflects the failure of multiple projects due to a lack of funds and COVID-19, among other issues. Buena Vista officials said they are disappointed that he's selling, but they do have plans to move forward. The city received a state grant to assist with strategic planning to continue development of the downtown. Read reporter Zach England's story on our website at rockbridgereport.wlu.edu. The leaves have been particularly beautiful here in Rockbridge. But with the increase in winds and rain that are coming with Hurricane Zeta, a lot of the leaves will be falling over the weekend. To celebrate the last bit of fall foliage, the Rockbridge Report has compiled some of our favorite photos and videos into a slideshow. Go to rockbridgereport.wlu.edu to see some fall scenery and learn more about why the leaves have been so vibrant these past few weeks. Next on the Rockbridge Report, Tropical Storm Zeta pounded an already struggling Gulf Coast. We'll show you the damage. And then, Shauna will tell you what weather to expect over the holiday weekend. And later, one of the most famous marathons in the world was postponed until next year. See why.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Shauna Muckle. Now, a tropical storm. Zeta is responsible for at least 2 deaths since it made landfall Wednesday afternoon as a strong Category 2 hurricane. Camilla Bernal was in New Orleans, where they were picking up the pieces this morning as Zeta marched northeast.
Zeta hammering the Gulf Coast.
There was water just gushing in, and the doors were rattling so bad, and I couldn't understand why that was. And it wasn't until it all quieted down that my neighbors called and said, your roof is gone.
People in Louisiana and Mississippi waking up this morning to missing roofs, flooded streets, and power outages. Zeta's wind gusts in some areas reported to reach up to 110 miles per hour. Winds strong enough to rip this barge loose.
Son of a gun, look at him, he's gone. He's gone. Man, we are so lucky.
Zeta made landfall as a strong Category 2 hurricane Wednesday afternoon, the eye wall passing directly over New Orleans. And it's not over. Millions across the East Coast are under storm warnings as Zeta cuts through Alabama, Georgia, and the Mid-Atlantic states, towards the Atlantic Ocean, bringing heavy rain, damaging winds, and possibly tornadoes. In New Orleans, I'm Camila Bernal.
Now, after one of the rainiest mornings and afternoons we've seen here in Lexington, we're finally back to some of those dry, overcast skies. Right now it's 72 degrees in Lexington. Obviously pretty warm and mild right now. The low this morning was 51 degrees, and right now the barometric pressure is 29 and 43 1/100 inches of mercury. We've got quite a bit of wind as well. It's 6 miles per hour right now. And we have some of that very muggy post-rain weather with a humidity of 84%, obviously very high. And then onto the radar. As you can see, there's still a slight chance of precipitation for the next few hours, but that should end starting tomorrow. And for the rest of the region, we're seeing pretty similar temperatures across the region. Cloudy skies and temperatures in the 60 to 70 degree range. In Lexington and Buena Vista, it's 72 and 73 degrees respectively. Cloudy skies in both places as well. Up in Stanton, it's a bit cooler, 67 degrees and cloudy. And Charlottesville looks a lot like Lexington, it's 71 degrees and cloudy. And now down in Lynchburg, there's a little bit less cloud cover and warmer skies, 76 degrees and partly cloudy in Lynchburg right now. Over in Covington, a lot like Lexington again, 72 degrees and cloudy. And down in Roanoke, pretty much identical to Lynchburg, 76 degrees and partly cloudy in Roanoke as well. And we've been blessed with some pretty mild October weather, but it looks like as we're heading into November, we're gonna see a pretty drastic shift in temperatures. Starting Friday, it's gonna be partly sunny, so pretty dry fortunately, but much cooler with a high of just 58 degrees and a low of 37. Saturday, the trend continues. 53 degrees is the high, even cooler, and 42 degrees for the low, and partly sunny again. And then Sunday, 1st November, it's going to be one of the cooler nights we've seen this season, 33 degrees for the low, 63 degrees for the high, so a little bit warmer in the day, but again, a lot chillier than we're used to during the night. Monday, it's sunny, so luckily still that dry weather, but very cold during the day, just 49 degrees on Monday and a low of 34 degrees. And then on Tuesday, again, a low of 34, sunny conditions, and a high of 58 degrees. So overall, it looks like fall chill is beginning in earnest. If you haven't gotten out your fall coats already, it might be time to do so. Now on to Brennan Black with sports.
Next on the Rockbridge Report, I'll give you the latest on game results and signings in the NFL. And later, a food writer has started cooking for the most unlikely patron. See how she has created an entire diner for her only guest. Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Brennan Black. Week 7 of the NFL is in the books. Let's take a look at the scores. The Washington football team had a dominating 25-3 win against the Dallas Cowboys, who struggled mightily since their starting quarterback Dak Prescott suffered a season-ending injury. The Carolina Panthers had a close game against the Saints in the Superdome, but ultimately lost 27-24. The Baltimore Ravens did not have a game this week, although they do play the Pittsburgh Steelers this weekend. But they did sign former Cowboys star receiver Dez Bryant, who is coming out of retirement to chase a ring with Lamar Jackson and company. Tonight, we have an NFC divisional showdown between the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. Both teams are struggling to vie for position in the NFC South, so it'll be a good one to watch. Be sure to catch this one at 8:20 on Fox. In MLB news, the Los Angeles Dodgers are World Series champions. The Dodgers sealed the series after a great Game 6 win on Tuesday night. This is the 7th championship in the team's history, but the first championship for the team since 1988. The next Boston Marathon won't happen until the fall of 2021. The annual event is usually held in April, but due to the pandemic, it has been postponed. The organizers say the exact date will be announced by the end of this year, and they made clear that reducing the field size or holding the event on a weekend is on the table. The 2020 marathon was canceled because of the coronavirus, but the event was replaced with a 10-day virtual experience. And I'll leave you with this last story. Fans returned to Churchill Downs on Sunday for the first live racing event there since last fall. Kristen Shanahan shows us what precautions are being taken at the famous horse racetrack amid the pandemic.
The cheers and excitement, mixed with the sound of hooves hitting the dirt, brought tears to eyes.
I didn't foresee it being emotional today, but I did get emotional when they ran that first race and the horses were coming down the stretch.
I've been waiting all year for it. Just to come back out here and see everybody here having fun is just awesome. It makes 2020 feel somewhat normal.
Churchill Downs' 131st Fall Meet kicked off Sunday with fans socially distanced in the grandstands.
It's been really refreshing.
Participants who attended the 146th Kentucky Derby less than 2 months ago remember the empty feeling as the horses left the starting gate.
It was very eerie. Everything was closed. There were just a few places open, and just without the fans and without everybody yelling and the excitement and the hats and the dresses, it was just very different.
Churchill Downs says just over 1,500 fans attended the first day of 2020's Fall Meet, less than last year's daily average attendance of 4,200. This year's experience is definitely different with temperature checks, face masks, and social distancing requirements, but still one to remember.
Since COVID started, we haven't been to any sporting event that's had anyone attending, and to finally be around some, even though it's a smaller amount of people, to be around some people is so fun. It's such a great atmosphere again.
She usually writes about food for a living, but the pandemic has helped one woman switch sides to making food. She's spending her days whipping up recipes for an odd but adorable dinner guest. CNN's Jeannie Mose has the story.
What's a food writer in Georgia to do when there are so few restaurants open to write about? She opened her own for a chipmunk.
Oh my God, he's eating the taco.
Teeny tiny tacos made of crushed almonds.
He ate them with his little hands, like.
At a little picnic table that Angela Hansberger's uncle sent.
Put the little table on my porch, and I walked away to recycle all the cardboard, and when I came back, there was a little chipmunk just sitting at the table like a person.
She named the chipmunk after jazz great Thelonious Monk, though this is probably the music chipmunks remind you of.
Alvin.
Thelonious doesn't have to sing for his supper that ranges from berries to sushi so small Angela used tweezers to pair a grain of rice with peaches. She doesn't skimp on the decor.
Welcome to the ramen shop.
Her husband used a plastic Easter egg to make a barbecue. Pizza was served atop the wire cage that encloses a champagne cork. Thelonious Monk has gone camping and eaten on white tablecloths. He's dined alongside an absentee ballot box and a skeleton. But he'll never look that thin the way he's eating.
Most mornings I come down now, and he's just sitting there waiting at the table for me, like, human, hello.
Angela's cat loves watching the chipmunk.
He taps the window softly and makes really soft noises.
Focusing on the little picture has made Angela less stressed about the big picture of COVID and presidential politics.
Took away that sense of dread.
If there's something Thelonious dreads eating, he drops it like a hot potato and has no shame about knocking over platters to get to his preferred dish. This is a rodent with larceny in his heart.
Picked up the bowl and he drank all of the soupy ramen, and then he stole the bowl.
And that cute little goblet?
He shoved it in his cheek and took it away.
With his ever-present buffet, Thelonious must be thinking every day.
This is the greatest day of my life.
Jeannie Mose, CNN, New York.
For Brennan Black, Shauna Muckle, Lily Mott, and the rest of the Rockbridge Report team, I'm Donald LeCompte. Good evening.